Alrighty, crew, here we go. Water ski question and answer. Hit me up if you've got more questions. Happy to do more of these. Question number one from Angus. I think it's the biggest one of the lot. Talk us through your change in training practices over the years. You used to literally ski for 2 hours straight, pass after pass, and this obviously worked for you with your fast success. Now a lot shorter quality sets. Obviously this method is still working. What is the biggest difference? What sort of skier may benefit from each method? Also, do you always interview other people instead of doing content on yourself because you know nobody likes you? Cheers, Gus. Yeah, so the big sets, I still rate them. I actually really do enjoy doing big sets. And when it's not anywhere near a tournament, I'll throw in some bigger sets. But the reason I sort of have moved away from those huge sets where I'd throw in sort of maybe 15 39s or something like that is just age, really. Like 27, skiers peak late, much later than 27 generally. But the recovery time just from me being 27 opposed to 20 when I first started skiing professionally, it's just got pushed out from 1 day to 2 days, and now if I throw in a big set where I've sort of done maybe 15 or so 39s, I'm looking at sort of a 2 day recovery for that. So yeah, that's sort of not enough skiing. So I've gone with shorter sets more often, skiing nearly every day, maybe 1 day off a week. And yeah, that sort of helps you with the very fine tuning at the high end as well. But yeah, I'm still a big fan of the big sets. So if you can do them, go for it, especially if you're 20 or below, because you're going to recover fine. Greg, what were you thinking on the dock at the Worlds runoff? Worlds was a pretty complex site, to be honest. Like we had rollers at 4-ball that was sort of beyond 4-ball. So you had a lot of decisions to make as to whether you were going to sort of come in really early and try and bounce through them on the backside of the ball, or maybe just come in a normal spot, travel through the rollers, and then drop a bomb once you'd passed them. So to be honest, on the dock at Worlds, I had a lot of planning to do. Like there wasn't a whole lot of sort of take in the moment. There was a little bit because you were guaranteed a third at a Worlds. So it was pretty cool to be in a runoff for first and guaranteed a third. But yeah, it was very much like on the start dock at Worlds, me just planning my run. There was quite a bit to do. I knew that 1-ball was probably my best chance at a big turn without the rollers, and then you sort of play it reasonably safe at 3 and then take at 2, and then take a big risk at 3 in order to get there early on that 4-ball. And I chose to sort of drop in on the back of it despite the rollers, which was a plan that was only going to work if I got to 4 early enough. So yeah, there was a lot to plan at the start dock in that Worlds runoff, to be honest. Alrighty, so Greg, again, tell us about your coaching. Do you like it? Do you enjoy coaching people running 11s, or are you happy to coach someone running 18 for the first time? Yeah, so I would say I get far more enjoyment out of like on the water coaching someone who's really like still coming up through the ranks, that has like a huge improvement still ahead of them. So like coaching someone at 18 is definitely still fun for me. Yeah, it's awesome. But what I really enjoy more so than that is talking to someone that's sort of looking at 11 and beyond, so 38 and beyond, but not actually on the water. I feel like a lot of what I learned at that stage came off the water, when you're just discussing the way that person skis relative to everybody else and what they might want to do with their skiing in the future, and just all that really complex stuff that takes maybe 40 minutes to discuss, not just sort of try this at the end of the lake. Because once you're talking about 38 and beyond, the skier is very aware of sort of what they want to change with their skiing. It's just that may not always be the right decision. So yeah, if it's on the water, I answer that in that I would prefer to coach someone that's still coming up through the ranks and like doing that sort of below 38 off level skiing. And then beyond that, yeah, someone that's sort of 38 and beyond, I really enjoy talking to those people off the water about their skiing. Practice PB. I've ran a lot of 41s, but yeah, never even been to 2-ball at 43. So my practice PB is one at 9.7. Do you think ski design will change much in the 10 years ahead? Yeah, I think it will. It hasn't changed much in the previous sort of 7 years, I would argue. I always ride all the different brands. Actually did a video of me riding an Omni the other day. Don't know if I'm going to put it up. But yeah, I always ride all the other brands just to check what they're doing. And I feel like it's just always a tweak, generally speaking. All the skis sort of ski a similar way, and I might do another video where I sort of go through how each brand does sort of perform on the water. But yeah, I just feel like we've been tweaking for a long time, and Connolly sort of has pushed hard to make changes. Like our cutting that back sidewall off really did change the depth of the ski in the water itself, which I feel like was a legitimate change, not a tweak. And then like Connolly has more things that we're working on, and we're really pushing for change, not just a tweak. So yeah, in 10 years, unless myself and Connolly fail, which I really don't think we're going to, there's big changes coming. There really is. And I mean that. Okay, so why were you not on the Ultimate Skier series that Matt Rinnie was doing? Are you not ultimate enough? If you were asked what part of your skiing would feature on the Ultimate Skier, maybe you're maybe you're whinging about the boat driver. I'm guessing that's from Greg as well. I was gonna be on the Ultimate Skier with Matt Rinnie. They didn't dog me. But then I exploded my foot at Worlds and didn't go to the States. And I'd probably be doing it now if it wasn't for the fact that the whole world's shutting down. Alrighty. Jeff, how do you commit to your lazy side? So I assume lazy side, he means offside. So I would say that generally is kind of going to change for your level, meaning that generally speaking, if you're sort of looking at maybe like 18, sort of like that 22 off sort of zone, it's really going to be about like committing movement with your upper body and your head. That's generally what those types of skiers need to do when they're lacking commitment. You've just got to sort of change your vision, get a look over there, and maybe even for those people that do look down the lake, you just got to do something with the top half of your body. And then as you get better, when you're talking about commitment, in that very first stage of their turn, if someone's not committing to that, as you actually get better, that point that you need to concentrate on moves further down your body. In that, like if you're sort of dealing with a zone where it's like 11 meters or 38 off, it's very much about what the ski is doing with their hips. And then once you're dealing with sort of 39, 10, 2, 5 zone, it's all about your feet. So like for me, coming into my offside is a front foot turn, whereas your onside is a back foot turn. So on that offside turn, for me, it's just about stepping onto that front foot. It's a very small movement that happens only with your feet. But I mean, you can't ask a skier that's dealing with those really long lines when you're just sort of figuring everything out to do a move that minute and see any sort of consequence. So yeah, it's generally sort of a move with your upper body unless you're dealing with your hips and you're at that sort of 12 meter zone, 35 off. And then once you're dealing with 39 and beyond, it's all about your feet. Just do that first move. That'll cause the commitment. It's generally not a mental block. It's just people not being aware of what that first move is. What is the easiest way to get out of the water? By Aaron. Arms straight, knees bent, just stay there, let the boat drag you up. It's, it really is the way that everybody teaches it, and it's correct. Seth Sisha, what do you do with all the other Connolly shirts, and how often do you wash your favorite annual Connolly shirt? I'm pretty hopeless at just wearing the same stuff. For like 7 years, I've had my clothes just arrive at the front door. So cheers, Connolly. It's much appreciated. I don't like shopping. Connolly Skis asked this one. Tell us about your other athletic feats, like running. How do lessons learned there transition over to your skiing career? So yeah, prior to skiing, I was a runner. Nothing great, like maybe a 4:03 in the 800 meter. So I feel like running, you really can push into a zone where your body's starting to legitimately shut down on you. Whereas with skiing, like we're dealing with such high impacts, like such high load and such big impacts that you just can't push your body into that zone because you really will fail structurally. Like you're going to have an injury basically. So I feel like what I learned from the running days is just that your body is capable of running until like your vision's blurry and you're vomiting, and then you keep running and your legs are cramping, and then you can just sort of stretch it out and continue running, and that's all still fine. Whereas so when you're skiing, you never really get to that zone, which makes training hard for water skiing, very technically difficult, but physically it's nothing like the running because your body just can't handle the loads once you're fatigued, so you got to stop, which I learnt the hard way by continuing to ski fatigued. Still learning that, to be honest. What is something you admire technique-wise about your fellow Connolly athletes, Manon, Thibaut, and Sasha? Sasha is so good with his knees. He drops in through the turn with really good hip mobility, and then he flicks his knees at the back of the ball. I can mimic it or do it on my longer lines, but Sasha's really good at it on the short lines, which there's a huge amount of G-force at the back of the turn on those short lines. And yeah, it's just not something that I can quite get happening with my skiing. So yeah, Sasha's a gun at that. Tebow is really good at gently rocking to the front of the ski on the approach to the turn. I would assume he's got very, very, very good balance. He just does it so subtly. He sort of comes through his edge change, just creeps forward, and then he's in the right spot for the rotation. Manon, her gait's pretty good. I really like, she comes out on that gate, stands up in the glide with her knee nice and bent. When I do my gate that structured, I sort of get the wobbles and I tend to lose it. My gate has to be a little more sort of fluid, and I have to wing it basically a little more than what Manon does. Manon has a really structured, good, solid gate.